Hey nerds! It's Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Exclusive tabletop game podcast for the Pacific Northwest. All levels of gamers. Analog gaming. Tabletop news. Dungeons and Dragons and magic. Stupid, mindless banter.
There will definitely be some. That's probably our best. That's our best feature.
You are listening to the Geeks of Cascadia podcast, featuring Steve Hobbs, Paul Anderson, and Joe Costa.
Hey geeks, welcome to Geeks of Cascadia. It is episode 35.
35.
Yes,
Wow.
35.
Nice.
You guys are always
Awesome.
surprised at that. I am Blue Samurai. I am
It's like only
with.
one of us keep track.
I am with.
Kelly.
I'm still Paul.
And I'm the Costosaurus, and to my right is
Doug.
And we are here at Dragonflight. Having fun. Some of us are working really hard, like Kelly here.
Oh, I don't work hard.
You doing well themselves?
I don't know. I've been
Okay.
sitting at the table playing games.
Okay,
Oh,
there you go.
awesome.
Yeah.
So right now, if you should just take stuff from there because nobody's watching it. Doug, how you doing?
Whoa, I'm doing pretty well. Pretty good.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
They're both
All right.
Pretty.
Are they both
pretty-
appropriate? I had to think of that episode of 30 Rock.
Okay. Joe, you've been playing a lot of games today. I noticed.
two,
Do you want to play
but I
five?
played one really long game.
Yeah.
I played a small game of Splendor, which half an hour. It was really fun.
Oh yeah, Splender's out.
And then I played an amazing game, so Memoir 44, which I already love.
Nice.
I got to do the Operation Neptune. That took up like 2 full long tables. Like, it was probably almost 15 feet wide, maybe?
Oh,
I don't
yeah, I
know.
saw that.
It
Yeah.
is the whole beach from the whole Normandy operation that there was. So, you had each little sections that they used
Right.
for their, you had Sword Beach, Sword Beach on the far left, Omaha on the far right, and then you had like Utah and all the other ones. And so it was really interesting because it was like 6 versus 6. But if I was just playing Sword Beach, it was me as an ally. It was actually the British versus Germany. And then the next one over, and they all connected, then the next one over was Canada, the Canadian troops versus Germans. So it was really, really cool. And they had a person leading it. So she would actually say, all the allies, go ahead and call your reinforcements. Great. And now do your attacks. And it was
Cool.
awesome.
Looked pretty good. Looked pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Actually,
I couldn't afford it, but yeah, it was. It looks like you would need about 6 base games, and then you would need to buy all the maps that they had on paper. So I would hope they're not too expensive, and pretty much
Can't go zero.
chit sheets, and you're good.
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
what about your Dragonflight experience?
I have been interviewing people.
Yeah, it's basically what I've been doing.
Yes, that's
Really?
what I've been doing.
So every time I see you, you're just moseying around looking.
Well,
Forlornly for someone to interview.
I grab people. Yeah.
He does. He's been told not to. He's going to be kicked out next time.
Yeah,
Yes.
probably.
Just
There's
kidding.
a harassment policy.
Restraining order or something. I don't know. But we have a pretty good show for you today. We've got Chip, who is our volunteer coordinator for OrcaCon.
And has the new baby that's so cute.
Yes. And she's going to talk about
Can we get to see
volunteer
the baby?
opportunities. Well,
She was
probably
around.
Not.
No, but she was around here today. She'll be back tomorrow.
And what else do we have?
We talked to a couple guys who have made some Scythe games recently.
Yes.
Hoby Chou, who made My Little Scythe with his daughter Vienna, and Ryan Lopez, we talked to a couple episodes ago about the Rise of Fenris expansion for Scythe.
Now, if you're watching this on the YouTubes, there will be a technical problem in the video, but you will still hear it.
Yes.
So we got part of it, and then unfortunately we ran out of space on the old phone. And
Yeah.
Technology,
but
right?
that's towards the end. But you won't miss a word of it. So, right?
We'll find a way to make that happen.
That's right.
I'm just going to reenact
You
it.
can sync the
Okay.
audio.
That's
That's
right.
Do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Louis Vanilli does it.
But if you want the written transcripts, just email us at geeksofcascadia
Yes.
at gmail.com or Facebook us, or you can tweet us at Geeks of
I
Cascadia.
kind of wish
Or
it was
just
the
wait for
OG
Doug to
mail.
teach him how to use a computer.
Or
Yes.
Oh,
something like that.
super.
Okay. So, by the way, before we go on, what's next game review coming up for you guys?
I think the next one is Century Eastern Wonders.
Yeah.
Is the one we've got in the pipeline.
Okay.
I saw you playing that earlier today. Yeah.
Is that
And
fun?
then-
Just like That's like Century Spice.
The
Road,
combined
It's-
game is stupid.
Like stupid fun or stupid?
Like I can discard cards to move as many spaces as I want, as many cards as I discarded.
So that's bad?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think I knew about that. But yeah, it's the second one in the series of the Century games. So Century Spice Road, now it's Century Eastern
So you
Wonders.
broke another game.
And then there's
No.
a third one
And
next year,
then
right?
there's the third one coming out next year. But these two right now, you can combine them, as Kelly was saying, into one game.
It like halved the time. Like we played it in like 10 minutes when like when the game was over. That's what happened.
I feel like we may have done something wrong.
Kelly's regular games.
Maybe you guys need to do a game review of all of them combined.
That is
That's the plan.
That is the
Okay.
plan.
Oh, okay.
We want to do them
You were
individually.
psychic, Steve.
I know. it's
You
great.
just
I
think
know.
yours.
I'm amazing.
Wow, what a precog.
Amazing. Plus, I
And then
we
I've
do
got
less work. when
Yeah.
we do
Founders of Gloomhaven over there.
I have been
It's
wanting to hear
finally
about that.
in. I haven't played it yet. I read the rules a few times, so I think we're gonna sit down later and play a game.
Is it legacy
Great.
style or is it just play the game?
No, it's just play the game. It's a
Okay.
Euro style board game.
It looks like 1901 to me.
1901.
New York, 1901.
Oh yeah, New York 91.
Yeah.
A
The
little
tile
bit like
placement.
that, yes.
Do you have to know much of the? Do you know if you have to know much of the Gloomhaven lore or any of that to enjoy
I
it?
don't
or-
think
or
so.
Not typically, no. Basically, Founders is it's after the war where the 6 races, I believe it is, come.
Are you spoiling anything right now?
No, it's
It's
Yeah,
like
it's
if
over
it,
here.
if
There
it
we
was a
go.
book, I could probably just read the inside flap, right?
yeah, it's on the back. It's the 6
Okay.
races, basically creating one city where they can all freely trade and
Ooh,
do
here
all
we go.
stuff.
This summer, watch the city of Gloomhaven was not always a bustling hub of commerce and intrigue. Boom, 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 boom. Hundreds of years ago, it was nothing but the ruins of a long-dead civilization. But one man with one desire.
Okay, that's done. That's the best movie voice I can do.
I don't know if it's going to catch on there.
We'll see.
Or even on this.
I'll dub over it. I'll dub over it.
that.
If you
myself.
didn't hear it, you can text us the transcripts
Oh my gosh.
at geeksofcascadia at gmail.com. Oh, anyway,
It's a bunch of bad.
I think we should, while you're opening up, Joe, why don't we listen in on Chip's interview?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, geeks. We are doing an impromptu interview. It just so happens we are at the OrcaCon meeting that we usually do once a month. And, well, since Chip is here,
Hello, everyone.
we figured we'd interview her because OrcaCon is coming up in a couple of months, and they're always desperate. Well, not desperate, but they could always use the volunteers. And Chip, who runs everything dealing with volunteers, is here to talk to us. So, how's it going, Chip?
It's going good. We're just gearing up to get the applications out for the volunteers and get everyone to sign back up, even if you're a volunteer from last year or someone brand spanking new, then we need you to fill out the application, and then everyone will get to be notified in November if they've been accepted.
Okay. And how many volunteers do you think you'll be having?
Oh,
You need more
goodness.
from last year, you
We
think?
do need more from last year. We had, I think, about 40 last year. Now, the trick is, OrcaCon's a small convention, and so all of the little roles, like registration and info desk and things that you expect at a convention, we just need a few people for that. But OrcaCon has the concept of a game host, and so we need the game host to be a full team with lots of people on it, and these are people that really welcome attendees to the space and teach games and talk about games with people. And so to really create the feeling of OrcaCon and the inclusive feeling that we want there, we want as many game hosts as are willing to represent us.
So what you're telling me is that I can volunteer and play games?
As a volunteer, yeah, and that is what you would be doing at OrcaCon, is
And
playing games with
There's a perk there, right? If you volunteer a certain amount of hours,
people. Yeah.
what potentially do you get?
You get we're starting this year a special volunteer badge, which is good for the whole convention, as well as volunteer shirt. And
what do those volunteers'
Oh,
t-shirts
goodness.
look like? Oh, what do you know?
Exactly.
All right.
And also, kind of secret, if we have any swag left over at the end of the show, we give volunteers some dibs.
Oh wow.
Nice. I like it. And do they get like a comp badge if they work a certain amount of hours?
Oh yeah, that volunteer badge is just for them.
So let me get this right. If let's say I, as a kid, had no money, but let's say 18, 19, college, whatever, because I'm assuming volunteers have to be 18 and over.
You're over.
They're like, I don't have money to go to this college. What can I do? They could volunteer. Let's say, how many hours do we know?
The hours, the time blocks are about 6 hours at a time. If you volunteer for one of those per day, you get a volunteer badge.
So I could go like Saturday, volunteer for 6 hours, get a free badge for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
So that means, with the exception of transportation, I'm sure, their money isn't a barrier if they want to instead pay with their time and smiles.
Exactly.
All right. Of course, you still have to pay for your room.
Oh, yes.
If you stay there.
But if you volunteer for, now this is what I heard, if you volunteer for a full 48 hours straight,
Oh my
you get a
God.
lightsaber. Is that true?
Wait, no.
I don't even know
tell
that's-
you
that's
to
not
go
even
to
legal.
bed.
I did that the first year.
Pretty sure.
No. We'll cut you off at like
Lightsabers, not
8 hours.
And you get breaks. It's great.
Oh yeah.
And you have
We-
chicken soup boss,
we
who's
definitely make
amazing.
sure we take care of everyone and everyone gets enough sleep and breaks with food and anything that they need.
Oh, that's cool. And so, I believe, I don't know when this is going to go up. Probably either this week or it's going to be 2 weeks. Well, I guess not. I'm getting a big shaking of the head.
Never say
Oh,
when
never
things are
say.
going up.
Well, I kind of have to because it depends on when is the website going up. So,
Right.
We're big
At
thinkers.
some
Paul
point-
keeps us in line.
At some point in the future,
Okay.
applications will
or
go
now.
up. Or now.
Yes.
Check orcacon.org/volunteers, I think. Or just check orcacon.org and click on the volunteer link.
And so let's just walk this through. So I'm new and I want to volunteer. So I just fill out the form and then
Yes.
you're going to know right away. Am I going to get a response back? How does that work?
You will probably, you should get a verification that this form has been submitted. So you won't actually hear from me until November.
Right, because you are a very busy lady.
Yes, definitely.
And a new
lately.
mom.
Yes.
Yay.
There's maybe tunnel vision happening. Yeah, so in November is when you'll hear from me. But you can always email me at any time, volunteer@orcacon.org if you have any questions.
Now, sometimes you have to have the volunteers before the day of the con. Is that happening too?
Yes, we
Okay.
have an orientation. Each volunteers we ask to come in and participate in our orientation, which me and Joe go over the anti-harassment and accessibility policies and what they mean to you as an OrcaCon volunteer.
And sometimes we unwrap games or stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and then we set up the con that too.
Right. All right. Well, is there anything else, Joe or Chip? Would you like to include?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
No, don't worry. You're all good.
Twitter at OrcaCon,
Yes.
Facebook at OrcaCon, and you also get information about signing up to volunteer and stuff like that at those places.
Woohoo!
All right. Well, with that, I think that's all we have. So, see you at OrcaCon.
Always great talking to Chip. I love Chip.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of opportunities at OrcaCon to be able to volunteer. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you else will be at OrcaCon?
Us.
Us. We'll be at OrcaCon.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
really?
be at OrcaCon.
Yeah. It'll be kind of fun.
Those
I
people.
don't know.
No, yes, you will be there too. I can see it in your eyes.
I will be at OrcaCon. I give out free high fives and hugs when asked.
I bless dice.
Really?
No.
Can you
Wow.
come to me with my card, my D&D bag?
It doesn't. But a lack of faith on your part does not consider
It's
a
only-
refund on
It's
my
only
part.
blue dice for you anyway.
Right. Well, there'll be a lot of games at OrcaCon because it's a tabletop gaming convention.
And
Yeah.
And
it's
some of
awesome
the games will
game, by
be
the way.
Scythe, right? Which is the next interview of who?
We have My Little Scythe.
Yes.
And then we also will have the most recent expansion. There's a campaign called The Rise of Fenris, when we'll be interviewing Ryan Lopez, who did that, and then Hoby
Ciao.
Ciao.
and Hoby Chou, who, fun fact, and I love this, he created My Little Scythe with his daughter, Vienna Chou.
Oh.
And I just think that's
Little My
awesome.
Little Ponies.
Yeah, it was originally My Little Pony, probably couldn't do that for copyright reasons. And,
Okay.
yeah, you know
Please don't
what?
sue us.
You'll hear all about it. So listen here if you want to learn more about that.
I'm not gonna sue you
All right.
for free advertising.
What? I don't know. My Little Pony?
I don't know. How about my little
I
site?
got some pretty powerful legal
Army
people.
of bronies coming after us.
And
be.
here's an interview from My Little Scythe.
That's what
All
I just
right, let's listen in.
Hey nerds, welcome back, and this is a new segment of our show. It's called All About Scythe.
I
Still admire games.
personally really down with this one.
Joe likes it. This can be full of spoilers because we want to ruin Doug's game playing experience.
Please don't.
No, we're not going to do spoilers.
It just came out. It's like a week old.
So we are
It
here
just
today
came out.
with Ryan Lopez. He was the designer of Rise of Fenris, the new addition to Scythe,
Yes.
and Hoby Chou, who is My Little Scythe. And you created the game with your daughter?
Yes.
I think that is so awesome. You're the second person we've met who has made a game with their daughter. I think that's really, really cool.
He's a goldfish guy.
Goldfish guy.
Yeah.
Yes, check that.
Yeah.
So how did it come about that you got the opportunity to do a My Little Scythe?
Oh, we were looking for that opportunity, actually. It all started off with my daughter and I first experiencing Scythe. We loved it. We want more of our friends to enjoy it. They needed some help to get into it. So we started it off by optimizing some of the rules, changing things around. One thing led to another. And because my daughter loved My Little Pony, we created a whole new version of it.
Okay.
As it turns out, more than a couple of people were in the same boat, wanting to find a lighter, more coachable version of the game for them to enjoy with their families.
Cool.
And it went viral after that. With the My Little Pony theme. Jamie couldn't stop hearing about it for a month and a half.
Yeah.
Finally, he contacted me and said, "Hey, let's do something about this."
Cool. Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. So with the My Little Scythe, what I like about it is it has those same elements that you would get in the main side, but it's just so much more, I think, accessible for the younger kids. Kind of like you said with your daughter. So like when I saw this was coming out, I read a little bit about it, just the fan created, your created. And instantly I was like, all right, I need to start a game day at my school. I teach first grade in elementary, and I was like, and this needs to be one of the big things there. And so that will be. So you contributed to gaming in public schools. Look at that.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks. It's quite a capable for that age. I've been told that you're not just trying to figure out how to destroy your enemies in this game, and you're trying to find that balance between how much to help others versus helping yourself. That's why there's a little thing called friendship.
Okay.
I've not played the friendship mechanic. Yeah, I'm usually the head trader.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah, nice.
And you guys were just at Gen Con.
Yes.
Was that exhausting?
I don't know. I liked it. It wasn't exhausting to me, but I get into that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'm an extrovert exactly, but I enjoy those.
Yeah.
In short bursts, I enjoy scenes like that. So it was fun, and we both kind of, being from the West Coast, we were on a similar clock, so
Yeah,
we were
that's
roommates and more or less going to bed at the same time and stuff like that. That was good, but we got a reasonable amount of sleep and just had a lot of fun, met a lot of people, and worked the Meeple Source booth a lot. It was good.
Oh,
15-hour days. Yeah, no, we didn't feel tired doing it, meeting all the people. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We didn't feel until it was something to bed.
Get back to
Oh, okay.
So Meeple Source booth. I just ordered the upgrade, but apparently it's on the pre-order, so I got
Yeah,
to
it's
come in.
back order or whatever.
But so yeah, I'm excited to get that in. And
I may or may not have some of those already.
so I intentionally bought the one that's like, you can just trust us. It'll have everything you're gonna want.
Yes.
Because like I was saying through, the Rise of Fenris, we're only 5 stories in, and there's 8, right?
Yeah.
And so we're only 5 in. So even though I feel like we got a lot of the big ones, like so far playing your game here, it's like I just feel like there's gonna be some big finale, some big boom coming in there.
There's some stuff coming. Yeah.
So I didn't want to look and ruin any of those tokens or anything like that. Actually, fun story. I was at around the table in Linwood playing, and we got to a part where a big spoiler would have been. Those of you listening, you'll just know. And was it box A?
Yes.
We had to open it, and Ryan comes over and he's like, "Hey, do you want me to open it for you and get the stuff for you so that way it's just like a full-on
Well, I
surprise?
got to get the punch boards and stuff out
Yeah.
too, so you wouldn't accidentally see other punch boards.
We were like, yeah. And so he took it out and we literally were all like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And it was really awesome. I feel like I've gotten that excited about a module before. It was really cool. So those of you that have made it through and gone through box A, you know what I'm talking about.
I like box A. It's a
You
good one.
box A is it's wonderful.
They're all good.
And from looking at the internet, everyone's really excited for both these games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's in my news feed constantly and all the game things I follow. It's very, very cool.
But doesn't what you just say something about Scythe and Stonemaier Games, the reputation of what it followed me? The fact that you can say, hey, I'm not going to tell you anything about the game or show you anything, just trust us, it's going to be awesome. And
Please buy this $55 expansion that I can't tell you anything about.
exactly. Just trust us.
Okay.
Like-
Sounds good.
That was like my little side. It's one of those ones where like, hey, like, you know, I really like regular side. Do you want me to pay this? Play this for you? Like, no, just buy it. You'll be happy. Like, just trust us. You'll, and that's the same thing with the community. You're like, oh no, you're gonna love it. You're just gonna simply love it. Like, no doubt about it. And I've not seen any of the people who were asking that be like, oh yeah, I really hate it. They were like, oh no, you're totally right. This is amazing. Yeah. So it's like you said, it's anything through Stonemaier, even just going through like the people who, I mean, you guys kind of created your own things. And he was like, hey, I like this.
Yeah.
And let's publish this together, you know. And he's got a really good track record.
He's very sincere. He's very sincere and genuine when he says it. Jamie's goal is to bring joy to people through the game, and whether it's through his design or through fan-created designs. He sees that opportunity to bring joy to people.
It's so awesome having fun fans like you guys and just saying, I'm going to work with you. We're going to make a thing. I just think that's great.
Well, and we're like fans 3 and 4 that he's done that
Yeah.
with. Like the Winged Gambit was a fan expansion, and I don't think people know this. I don't know if people know this, but I had to double check with Jamie. But basically, the Atomo Factory stuff, all the solo modes that he does, started as a fan expansion.
Wow, 'cause that was
Morton Peterson did those for Viticulture after it kickstarted.
whoa.
And he basically said, like it, let's put it in the Tuscany expansion, and then it eventually got into the Viticulture Essential Edition. And then he had Morton do solo modes for basically all of his other games. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but he was even doing a solo for the Euphoria expansion, which Euphoria is only Stonemaier game, it doesn't have a solo variant. And so Morton's another, just like, he was just a guy who enjoyed solo games and made his own solo variants, and he made one that caught Jamie's eye, and he was the first one. And other people don't do that.
JVC's very humble, like in this
Oh,
stuff. Like you were saying, like I just made it, and he liked it, and like, look, your name's on the front of the box. He's not like, sell it to me for like $3, and then I'm gonna take all the credit. He's like, yeah, hey, and I'll see stuff online. He's like, hey, great job to Ryan for creating, like, and so it's like you see him be totally humble with that.
Yeah, he could have just said, I'm gonna make a campaign expansion and run with it. He didn't have to contact me. I mean, this expansion has very little in common with my original fan expansion that got his attention. There are some overlaps, but not that much, and not anything that you couldn't have come to independently. But he was, as I said before, he was super generous with like the creativity of it, and taking kind of his tentpole game and saying, here, you can just sort of run wild with it for 5 or 6 months, and I'll sort of just say yes or no occasionally, but otherwise let you go. And then when he stepped in, he started polishing things and refining things and making everything much better. But I had 5 or 6 months where I just was sort of exploring, and he said very little about it, other than to say, like, I like the direction of this, let's keep going with it. Or very rarely he would say, that's not really what I want to do with this expansion. But most of that was like the first month, when we were just sort of sorting out, what is this going to be?
Sounds like he liked the voice that you put on it, like, you know, what the parts were about you that you created in this, you know what I mean? Like, it had your fingerprints on it, and he was like, I want to keep that. That's why I reached out to you, because I like what you already did, and so it was cool that he just gave that time to you.
Well, and I think he initially wanted some help with just the writing of it. Like, there was a lot of writing that was being involved. He wanted it to be very narrative driven, and I had done some writing with my fan campaign that he thought was adequate, and so he reached out to me for that, and from there, he just let me kind of. You can't really write the story without also working on mechanical things. And so he just let me role, and then he made the polishing stuff at the end. And made it like twice as good or better. You know, like it was just a ton better once he stepped in. But he still gave me a lot of leeway, which I thought was very just creatively generous.
Now, we're not writing a tell-all book about us working with J.P. Stegmaier. One other thing I can add is I echo what Ryan just mentioned. He has his intuition to him. I think he's a great business person as well, marketer, publisher, but as a designer, obviously, he's put himself through all his great works. He will ask you just a little subtle, small question, like just to spark a chain reaction. And for My Little Scythe, it started off being because originally it was My Little Pony, it was 4 players, and he said, well, one staple of Stonemaier games is support for 5 or more players. And I had just signed up. I wasn't going to say no. So, okay, let's see what I can do. And that must have led to a good number of changes in a great way to the game, including how resources are discovered, and the way the board is laid out, and so on. And it just, I don't know how he does it. It's just his gut feeling, I think. And that's really hard to copy.
Well, and a lot of experience. You know, he just knows these are the things that will work.
Right.
He sent me an email one time. I wish I could remember the content of this particular email. Sorry to step on your time. And I just read his email. I was just like, with 2 sentences, he just saved me like 3 months of work. Like this would have taken me forever to get to this, and I was going, oh, yeah, let's do that. So, it's pretty incredible.
He just sounds like a good leader, like in the sense of he's not like, oh, I'm just gonna do it for you. He's like, have you thought about this? And and helps, and then you develop, like, oh, and like he gives you the tool and the strength to do that. And I thought it's
a matter of respect. I mean, he respects you as a creator as well.
That's awesome.
Right? Which is great because we hadn't really. I mean, you've done a lot more than I had to prove yourself in leading into this, and still, like, he comes at you like a co-designer, or a designer in your case, not as some schlub I have to guide along.
So, what's next up for you guys? Got any projects in the works?
Well, for those of you who open My Little Scythe, you'll notice. Don't write me any complaint letters, but there are some empty slots in there. Not because parts are missing necessarily, but we do plan to fill those with something.
Ooh, like little future expansion, maybe.
We gotta fill it with something.
Ooh, do we get any like little insider information on this? Like, do we get like maybe just like a little tease?
I think you guys will like it.
Oh, we'll take it. That's good.
Yeah,
I've seen the prototype stages, and I agree. I think it'll be good.
Cool. So, anything for you, Ryan?
Yes and no. I mean, this is like, again, I kind of stumbled into this. I have a couple of designs I've been working on over the years that are still in the sort of sorting out the nitty-gritties of the beginning details. One thing I realized with an expansion, in a way, it's a lot easier to make than a base game because a whole bunch of decisions are already made for you because the game already exists.
Yeah.
And there's probably some similarity with like designing your version, although you had a lot more work to do than I did because I couldn't break any of the base game rules, and you could.
And I was all about breaking the rules.
But even so, you had at least a little bit of inspiration maybe to start with.
Sure.
But building it up from scratch, I'm running into a lot of those like, well, there's 1,000 different ways I could go with this, and I have to choose one, and this is very hard. So we'll see. Maybe in a couple years from now, we'll have something come up.
Maybe a follow-up to this, the rise of Fenris again.
Yes. The re-rise.
Actually, you know what would be really cool is a prequel.
Interesting. Yeah, like leading into the Great War.
Like, I don't want to give too much, but leading into the Great War, and a little bit more about what is Fenris.
Yeah. Well, that's unlikely. Jamie's been pretty clear about he's basically done with Scythe, except for some accessories and things that he has coming. He's more or less done with the development of Scythe, and there's several reasons. He doesn't want to. He's very conscientious. He knows he has a pretty rabid fan base who will just they're in the buy anything mode, and he doesn't want to bleed them dry. Like, he doesn't want to just milk that.
And have to get big box number 2.
And he just wants to respect the fans in that way. And also, I think creatively, he's ready to move on to the next thing. So that's probably not going to happen, but we'll see.
All right. Well, so if people want to follow you guys on socials or learn more about the games, where should they go?
Hoby.
For me, I'm on Twitter at Hoby Chou, just my name, all something to one word on Twitter, Instagram. You can also go to our My Little Scythe Facebook group, which is connected to the Stonemaier page. We have a lot of discussions there. If you have any questions about any of the rules or just how it plays, a lot of people have posted their experiences on there and have jumped in to answer questions. So it's a very helpful community that's been developing.
Cool.
I have Twitter and recently Instagram accounts that I almost entirely neglect.
Okay.
So I'm not even going to throw those out there because they're only there for strictly technical reasons for things. But I am a frequent lurker and contributor on the Scythe Facebook group, the Scythe board game geek pages, and so you can find me in those places.
And BGG as well, of course.
Yeah.
We both have very active
Hoby's
BGG
very
pages.
active as well. Yeah.
So, Hoby, since your daughter Vienna could be yours, also co-designer of this, right?
Mhm.
What would you like to say for her? Or what, if she could say anything, even if she watches this and you could say something goofy that you're like, I told you I would do this, what would you like to do? Just, in Vienna, did I say it? Is it Vienna?
Vienna, yes, sir.
Vienna, if you're watching this, your dad's, this is just for you.
Uh-huh. All right, Vienna. Daddy helped you with the first one. Next one's on you.
There you go. And we promise that we would love to play it. And then if you guys are ever over here, we'd love to interview you as well. With father's permission, of course.
Yes. All right. So, anybody got anything else? Doug?
No.
Okay. Cool. Well, guys, thanks for joining us here at
Thanks so much.
Taking time out of your Dragonflight Day to sit and chat with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, we're part of this community. We're all Cascadians.
We are.
That's right.
Definitely.
It's nice
That's
to be
true.
back.
Yeah, and we would love to see you guys at OrcaCon.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
guys are able to make it.
Yep.
Yeah, we're
So-
looking into it. We'll see.
Even if it's just like we all get together and play some games.
Yeah.
It's like same bad place, same
Yeah,
bad
Yeah,
channel.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was one of my favorite interviews ever for this podcast for a couple reasons. One, I really try not to fanboy out, but I do. So, like, I already came into that, like, oh, I have all these questions I want to ask. And then I really had to work really hard to not say, A, can I hug you?
Which is
B,
good, because that gets us in trouble.
Yeah. B, can I sniff you? And 3, can you be my best friend and can we play games for life? So I just dealt with a nice
Why
handshake.
can't you ask those?
I mean, well, the thing is, I could, but I'd rather still be able to attend this confident. But yeah, it was everything I could have hoped for, and they're just awesome down to earth guys. I love it.
Well, it was a great interview. It's great to be able to like promote people that actually live around here, now locals,
Uh-huh.
and get to know a little bit about them and how they did the process. And I think
Yeah.
it's pretty cool that his daughter actually started him down this road of game design, kind of like how remember Chad Gray,
Yeah.
how him and his daughter started.
Go fish, yeah.
That's right, go fish.
I like how there's a lot of like, this is an adult game, we're gonna take it for the kids and I want to play with my kid.
Yeah.
So there's things like My First Stone Age is a thing. And all of those games are coming back.
They seem to be pretty successful. Like they're not
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'd rather just play Stone Age. Like apparently, my little Scythe has a playtime of 45 minutes, and it is dialed back to a level of complexity and however advanced rules are, where kids can do it and still have a lot of strategy there, which I think is really smart. And extremely difficult to design something like that.
Well, I think this has been a pretty good episode. We got two really good interviews, and
Yeah.
we need to enjoy the rest of Dragonfly,
We
right?
do. Let's
I
play some
really,
games.
really want to play this
Like
game.
founders.
That's right. So let's just cut this off and say, embrace the nerd, and I hope we make that statement.
From your mom. Your mom
Hot
gives it
dog
to you.
sandwiches.
Yes.
You don't have a
Which is
choice.
pizza a sandwich?
No.
I think pizza is a sandwich.
Pizza is not a sandwich.
It's an
Fold
open
it.
face sandwich.
No, calzones are sandwiches. It has to be between two parts of bread.
Calzone are warrior cows, primarily from the south.
So if I get a patty melt sandwich,
That's a sandwich.
it's a sandwich.
Okay, I'm about ready to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought you were
I
recording
thought you already
this.
had.
I'm just,
Yeah, you said I'm recording this.
I was recording part of it.
I'm recording
All right.
this.
I'm pretty sure pizzas aren't sandwiches.
So I'll begin, and then while
Hot
we do the
dogs
intro,
are.
I'm gonna say
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. The definition of sandwich is meat between
I
two
am
pieces
with-
of bread.
All right,
And
and a hot dog bun is
and-
one piece of bread.
So what about Reuben's?
Steve,
Is
all
a
you
Reuben
pick.
sandwich a sandwich?
Yes.
It's a hoagie roll, which is one piece of bread.
okay, we're gonna go.
Getting moving.
Ready?
Not Reuben, sorry. Philly cheesesteak sandwiches.
Here we go.
Philly
3.
cheesesteak. Oh, hey, how's
Hey.
it going?